welcome to the State of the Union for the week of 1/17/2021. It's our third one into the new year. Greg's new year, a lot of changes.
New year, a new time that's not different from last year yet, so we'll see what happens. I'm interested.
Groundhog's Day 2021, or you could call it December, 50th now at this point?
Sure.
Almost 20 days in, December 48th, whatever it is. Really fortunate that two things. One is this week would have been the week that NAMM would have been kicking off in Anaheim, but due to COVID, that's not happening.
Yep.
Even due to the new lovely rampant strain in California, we'll see how that one goes next year. But we're very honored to have with us today a longtime friend of mine. We went to the same high school together. Actually, funny story.
Yep.
He was the drummer in the jazz band in the brochure for the school. And I told my mom that was the reason I wanted to. Yeah, you were. I wanted to go there because they had a band, jazz band. Your fault. Your fault, Shreeve. Your fault. Your fault. I met the Shaws. Your fault. I met a lot of people. Dude. But good to be reconnected with him for the past 12 years or so through our good friend Liz Nitsky. And good to have him here. Let's welcome brand manager for Gretsch Drums International, Andrew Shreeve.
Oh, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it, guys. Yeah, it's great a treat to be a part of it. Yeah, no, it's good.
I haven't seen you forever. So tell me.
Been a year?
Yeah, it's been almost a year.
Yeah, things change so rapidly. And
Mike's been talking about you for since we started the podcast. And, I'm a drummer. So it's like, he's like, oh, yeah, my buddy is a brand representative for Gretsch. I'm like, oh, my God. That's
we're going to nerd out. It's just get drummers together. You're outnumbered right now there, Jackson. So
it's okay, dude. I got many an axe behind me.
Yeah. He does. Up and down back there.
So what's been good and fun? I mean, obviously you have not been going to, and if anyone doesn't know, Gretsch is the license is handled by DW Drums, and they're in the same building up there in the lovely Oxnard, California. I've been to it. Andrew's giving me an amazing tour of it. I think when he first started there, or maybe a little bit into it, but you walk around that factory and there's like shit tons of history. Like, I mean, I remember seeing Neil Peart's Rogue cases just hanging out.
Right. Yeah. That was after they finished the tour. And because the Oxnard facility is primarily the sales, marketing, and warehousing and production for DW. Now, Gretsch drums are still manufactured at the factory in Ridgeland, South Carolina. But yeah, I mean, they have all kinds of storage, and I think Terry Bozzio's kit was set up. I don't know. I think you saw that. Remember?
The truth. Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah, that was his jazz kit. Probably only had like 30 drums.
All 32 pieces of it.
Oh,
that's your jazz kit. That's cute.
Yeah.
How many people does it take to set up his drum kit? That guy is
a good friend of mine, Wayne Wilburn, who worked with me at Peisty years ago. Prior to him being with Peisty, he was the tech for Terry. Wow. And it wasn't quite to the full capacity that he's using now, but the kit, when he set it up, was pretty damn big. Yeah. I think he used to tell me it would take, once he got it going and everything was, numbered and itemized, I think he said about an hour and a half he could set it all up.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's really a legit player and, tech for many people.
Yeah, you gotta be really good at, memorizing the stuff. And then, I guess, once you start putting it together a couple times, you'll get it. But, when you look at that set, how close everything is in a proximity ergonomic to his limbs where he falls and everything. Right. It's literally set up to where his limbs are falling. And that's and it's just so much in such a tight space. You have access to all that right there. And that's
I remember.
It's like, you have access to everything right here. Like if you were to drum on your desk right now, ideally as a drummer, if you're dropping your hands here and here, it's like you want everything right here. But the cool guys are like drumming up here and up here. He's got his
on head.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember the first time I tried to play his kit.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was years ago. He had a room at the DW factory. It was just his rehearsal practice room. And good friend who I work with, Jules Thomas, she is the events and education manager there. So she let me get in there and try. I froze. I didn't know what to do. There was so many things to hit. I didn't know what to do. I just played on it for like 10 seconds, and it's overwhelming, you know. So
now you said the owner of DW has his show at that building as well. The show,
Drum Channel. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
Drum Channel. Terry Bozzio is like one of the people that interview other drummers on that channel, I think.
He's one of the key
interviewers, like
hosts, co-hosts. Yeah, he definitely is deeply rooted with Don and the DW for years, for DW family for years. But he's there on occasion.
The irony of this is Terry Bozzio's setup is gigantic, but he loves drummers that have such a minimalistic setup, and he's so fascinated by that.
Oh yeah.
Like he interviewed Matt Hepburn from Periphery, and he was just so taken back by his setup when they first came like to be. He had like one floor tom, and that was like maybe one rack time. I think it was just one floor time at the time, and just a couple cymbals. He's like, "How do you do all that? You know, it sounds like your kit's gigantic, but you have like tom." And he's just like, "I'll show you." And he got on and he started doing stuff and showing him, you know, and he was just blown away by it. And you know, it's funny because you could do so much with so little. And then when you're playing and you don't have somebody to set up your drums, like it's not easy to do. You don't have the time to do it. You want to minimize your setup. You want to make it as easy as possible to set up.
And you're seeing guys more often that are, you know, in the alternative, you know, rock scene that keeping it simple. You know, 1, 2, maybe 2 now, nothing too crazy, and they're just like ripping on it.
Yep.
You know, it's pretty damn impressive.
Billy Reimer from Dillinger Escape Plan drum off with Mike Portnoy. He slaughtered him. He had 2.
Really?
He couldn't keep up. It was
Mike Portnoy.
Yeah, Mike Portnoy's a staple.
Like
you know, and
watching paint dry.
I think he's got his place in the books. You know,
you're funny, Mike. Yeah, I mean, definitely. He's a dude. Like, I mean, there's a love-hate relationship with a number of drummers out there. I mean, sure. I was never really a prog rock guy. There was a few. I mean, of course, there's Neil, and Danny Carey. I was a big Carl Palmer fan years ago, but then my musical taste changed, you know. But you know, I mean, Mike is definitely a highly influential guy for many years, and it's just you know, I remember seeing him with I think it was with them. I can't remember, but you know, solid player.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's so many of them out there that are just sick. Makes you want to quit playing.
Yeah. All these guys with the small kits, you know, and they're playing they're playing huge, and it's like amazing to see. So I was going to ask you, Andrew, you know, you were with Peisty for a long time. Were you getting to work with Danny Carey at that time in your career?
Yeah, he and I, he's a great guy. I mean, he and I worked more on the artist relations side, of course. And then towards the end of my tenure, we started working a bit on the development of his signature piece. But I departed before that came to full fruition. But I mean, Danny's a really, really good guy. Monster player. I mean, he's a big basketball fan, so he and I would geek out about basketball. Nice. Just a good dude, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny when you come to NAMM shows, it's like he could never walk down an aisle without getting mobbed. It's crazy.
Oh, I bet everybody loves him. He's just his setup is it's set up to some type of symmetry or something. I read about. Yeah, some type of paganism or something. But his drums are made out of like bronze, I think, right? Like actual.
Well, yeah, he's primarily a Sonar artist.
Yeah.
But during the time when Peisty made snare drums out of melted down cymbals. So we made a Spirited 2002 snare drum, which was made out of melted down 2002 alloy cymbals. So anything that was made out of B8 bronze.
Yeah.
And then we made one run of what was called the signature snare drum.
Sure.
And that was one run. And then we made two signature drum kits, if you will, one for Carl Palmer and one for Danny Carey. And those are both made out of signature alloy. I mean, it's drum kit's sick. The bass drum alone weighs 92 pounds.
Yeah, right. I can imagine that. Oh my!
What Isn't that crazy?
What did Sonar do? They just took your idea and then just ran with it? Because I never knew Sonar made drums out of bronze.
No. It was strictly a Peisty sponsored thing.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't any Sonar involvement.
Gotcha.
And he fell in love with the snare drum. We made an 8x14 for him. He freaked out on it and said, "Man, what do you guys think about making, a drum kit?" And so we said, "Yeah, okay." We did.
And that's awesome. That's crazy. Yeah. How do you feel that versus wood? Like, I think obviously it's heavy, right? I mean, but like sustainability, attack.
Sustainability, yeah. It's a very sharp, ultra aggressive sounding kit, but it's got great tone. Really nice tone. It's just, it doesn't have the warmth, in my opinion, that a wood drum has. But in terms of a really nice note, tons of attack, and a great sustain. I mean, they're great. I have one of the signature bronze snare drums, 5.5x14, and that thing's just absolutely stunning. I think, Mike, you've seen that probably.
Oh, yeah.
I probably played it a couple of gigs.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome drum.
Yeah, you have multiple kits.
No, I know. I'm super nerdy. Frank's got a kit behind him there. I see. I don't have any drums behind me, just a living room.
Yeah, the other one I have the studio. I have a Thomas Starr Classic Birch Babinga, and this one's a Mapex Armory, which are a really good price point. I wanted to see, what I could get for that. Not that great. It's okay. The bass drum, the hardware on it, man. Like, the hardware on the bass drum. That's what the biggest thing for me is, like, if you can't keep that bass drum pedal on the freaking bass drum, and the bass drum's moving all the time, that's like the most annoying pet peeve I've had since I've ever started. But their bass drums, the legs on the hardware on it is just, unparalleled to anything I've ever used.
The Tom has been around for decades and highly respected drum company. I remember this was probably like 2008, 2009. We were doing an event down at Forks Drum Closet, and I was demoing some cymbals on a Star Classic. This was their All Babinga, and I was like, it sounded really good. And my colleague said, "Shreeve, here, man, you got to get off of that kit and hear that bass drum from out there." And he hit it once, and it was just like from 15 feet away, and just popped me right in the chest. Really, really impressive. Yeah, they're good people over there. I've known all the gang over at Tama for years.
That's awesome. I'm just nostalgic about that.
It's a small industry, so we kind of all know each other.
Sure,
and even in the spirit of competition, I think we're all on the same page to where we want our industry to do well. Yeah. And considering sometimes it's challenging with the shift of instrument manufacturing or in terms of sales and musical trends change.
Let's get into that, Andrew. It's quite, this is State of the Union you're on right now, and it's interesting to interview somebody who works for such a revered company like Gretsch, and you work with Peisty, amazing cymbal company, very expensive cymbals, but amazing.
Get what you pay for,
absolutely amazing. How has it been from like 2020 coming into 2020, and like, I don't know if you guys are giving kits out for artists to endorse, and and then not recouping that money and being able to measure the metrics on that, and how you make up for that on ROI.
Yeah, well, once the pandemic was in full swing, we just held everything back in terms of artist relations and across the board. Since there was basically no activity going on, it just didn't make sense to expand on our roster.
Right.
So we just put it on hold, and that's okay. Because we still have so many artists that are so devoted and loyal to the brand, and everything changed. Everything changed. We lost production for maybe 6 weeks or more. There was furloughing.
Yeah.
There was certain dealers that completely were put on hold because they were so brick and mortar centric. I mean, we had, the America's largest chain file for bankruptcy. I mean, so much went on.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we were really lucky. I mean, we were very conservative about the artist relations side of it, basically putting it on hold, and that was the right thing to do.
Sure.
Primarily because we also wanted to focus on our dealer support, and we just wanted to make that an all-hands effort to support our dealers, to make sure that their needs were met and they were going to be all right. And knock on wood, we've had all of our dealers get through it. And we're still building drums. We have an enormous backlog of drums right now.
Great.
And although it was a down year probably for everybody, we got through it with our heads up. And at the end of the day, we really did much better than we expected.
It's great.
If you look back from March.
It's great.
But I mean, it's a great team. Everybody was just kind of all on the same page. We were being conservative, yet at the same time supporting the dealers, and I think we got through it all right.
That's great. Not obviously knowing your inventory, knowing what needed, what's not needed to kind of scale back a little bit on production and sell what you do have and make the best of what you do have versus producing and keeping people. How did you guys have to downsize as a company at all, or did most people quit their jobs? Yeah,
we originally, there was a furlough for a bit of time, but then when the PPP program kicked in, Chris Lombardi, the CEO, and he's a great leader. I can't say anything more about that. He's just he really is. He cares about his people, cares about his company.
Yeah,
and he had to make some hard decisions early on, of course. There was furloughing, but then once the PPP kicked in, 86% of the company came back immediately, and there weren't any layoffs.
That's None. Great. That's great.
And then people gradually then came back, but we were really fortunate, very, very fortunate.
It's good. It's a piece of good news to hear because we're all about hope here. Not trying to be Debbie Downers or anything.
No, right. Yeah.
A lady the other day, her name was Sandy. She does rock. She basically raises money for roadies and all the techs in the bands and stuff, and just
nice.
The lobbyist, and she goes to bat for these artists that not the artists, the actual tech people in the back, the sound guys, the engineers, crew, all the guys that make the show happen, and those are the guys that are really suffering right now. And she, the stories are heartbreaking, and not knowing where they go. So to go from that story to hearing that a company is actually getting through this is a very good sign of good things to come.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there were other companies that laid off a number of people.
Sure.
But the decisions, they had to make them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But we were just really blessed that we didn't have to experience that.
That's great. And now, are you guys doing anything more innovative than you would usually do years prior because of what no live shows happening right now? Like,
good question. We're focusing more on digital marketing and artist relations support through their digital media. We have a couple shows that Gretsch came out with. One's called Gretsch Generations, and we do that every other week. It's pretty cool, actually. It's two Gretsch artists, one veteran and one newer artist to the roster, get together on a live stream and just talk about drums life. There's a number of questions that we have, some fun ones, your first Gretsch kit, what proudest moment playing and biggest oops moment, that kind of thing. But then if the conversation just goes a certain direction where it's fun and very vibey, they run with it.
Yeah, because you can that's the best thing to do, make it natural, organic, and then see where it goes.
Correct.
A little down and go off of that. What's your favorite Gretsch kit right now that you would want to endorse?
I think there's so many.
I know, right, Mike? It's
Catalina's an amazing.
I mean, literally.
Well, Catalina kit is hands down, like pound for pound. That's the best drum kit.
You go into Andrew's office at DW, and it's like you walk in, and there's nothing but fucking snare drums of every flavor and kind.
That's so cool.
On the wall.
Pretty nerdy.
I love it.
Amazing.
I love it.
It's amazing.
I don't know. I guess let me think about that. That's a tough one because I was just actually talking to an artist 4 or 5 days ago, and he was actually an artist that we're talking to in future endorsement, and he just wasn't overly familiar with the brand, and he asked me that type of question. I just said it really comes down to the style of music you're playing. I mean, I have my broadcaster kit set up right now and absolutely love it. Definitely a throwback from the 40s.
Wow.
I had my USA kit. Well, it's not that era, but it's the same layout and same type of manufacturing. Then the USA Custom is just a staple. That's our flagship series.
Yeah.
Slamming drums, Brooklyn series. They're all, each one has its own kind of flavor. I think it comes down to what style you play.
I'm friends with a band. They're called Thank You Scientists. They're newer. If you ever heard of Coheed and Cambria,
Yep.
they signed. Claudio signed this band called Thank You Scientists, and I'm friends with the drummer, the first drummer anyway, and he got a Gretsch kit, and it was the US Custom, and he loved it, man. And the thing is, when he left the band, eventually, they get to keep the kit, and the other drummer inherited it. But like, I mean,
right, he was probably bummed. Yeah, I mean, they've been a intricate part of the Gretsch sound since the 50s, really. And all the jazz records that you hear from like the 50s and beyond,
Yeah,
I would say a majority of them were played on USA Custom. I mean, some of the earlier stuff, Art Blakey, Jazz Messengers in the early 50s, he had some broadcaster, but the Elvins and Tony Williams and
Elvin Jones,
all the
man.
they were all USA guys. They were called Round Badge back then, but it's the same layout, same formula. 6-ply, tie cast, whole ball of wax.
We had a round badge. My friend's dad didn't play. He hasn't played in forever, so I found it in the club. We were like hanging out one day. I'm like, "Is that a round badge, Gretsch? Like, what is that?" And I got it. But the thing is, they reshelled it, so it wasn't the original shells on there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I did get quite a bit of money for it though. So it got me money towards all new cymbals for when I need. Yeah, man, those, you could find those every once in a while and you're like, is that a real shell? Is that real? It's yeah, man. So so when you went from, I'm going to go back. So
sure, please.
Peisty, you started with Peisty and you got into, how did you get into, I mean, obviously you're a drummer, right?
Oh yeah.
So how do you get into working for a cymbal company, one of the most highly revered cymbal?
Yeah, it's a fun story. I'm glad you asked that.
One.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy on how it turned out. So back.
You worked on an oil rig.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, prior to, right. That's exactly where it started. So
you worked on Terminal Island out there, right?
I worked on the islands of Long Beach. I mean, I worked all over LA and Orange County. But when I was in the service, I got out of the service in the Navy, and then I came up to Long Beach, and I just wanted to stay in California. So,
thank you for your service. I wasn't.
Thank you. It's an honor. It was an absolute honor. And so then I just was in the oil industry, and all along I've always been playing music since 6th grade. And then fast forward, and it came to a point where I've always had a passion for music and drums and the music industry. So I just started looking around and whipped out Modern Drummer and found out, okay, what companies are located in Southern California that I might be able to cold call and send applications to, whatever it takes. And gosh, I think I called Remo, I called Yamaha, a couple others, and called Peisty. Asked for human resources and talked to a young gal, Julie, who is still there, and she's like a sister to me. And I just asked if they had any positions available, and I said, yeah, they had a customer service and warehouse position available. Sent my application in and went in for an interview for the customer service position. Went well, but they didn't hire me because I didn't have any retail experience. And I get that. Totally respect it. They said, we really liked you as a person, but we're looking for someone who just has, their feet on the ground with the industry a bit more. I was like, well, I appreciate it. I said, if an opportunity ever comes up again, please, I'd be honored to at least get the opportunity to interview again. So then like 3 weeks later, same guy calls me and says, Andrew, the guy that we originally hired didn't work out. You want to come in for another interview? And I, with Eric Peisty, head honcho. And it's like, okay. And went in and then we had a good conversation. Eric asked me one question. I don't know if you know this, Mike. This is pretty heavy.
I don't think you've ever told me.
This is pretty rad. And he said, Andrew, I see that you've been playing music for a number of years and you have, a sense of knowledge of the instrument, et cetera, et cetera. But how is a gentleman who's been working in the oil industry for so many years going to help me sell cymbals? He's a tall Swiss gentleman and looked me in the eye and I looked him in the eye and I mean, what do you say? I'm not the kind of guy who's going to throw a line of BS to him. I don't want to just pitch him. I flat out was like, I threw my cards on the table and I said, Eric, I don't know, but I just know that if you give me a chance, I won't disappoint you. I mean, what else are you going to say? I mean, I couldn't say anything else. He looked at me, looked down at the table, my resume, he said, okay, let's take a shot at it. And then he hired me, and 2 days later, I started out, and the rest is history. But
that's awesome. And then customer service is what? You're calling on who?
Yeah, calling on dealers, and if there's general drummers that are coming in with questions, want to know about this or that, warranty specialists. And from there, moved up, and then the gentleman who hired me, he was the marketing manager. He moved on. Eric said, hey, you think you can handle the gig? And I said, damn right I can. And it was probably about a year and a half after I started. And then I started managing the marketing for the U.S. division. Then gradually moved in artist relations and marketing. And
then you had to then that became, you had to start traveling more and such?
Yeah, not too much, but a bit more, certain trade shows. But a lot of the travel was primarily more for the sales representatives. But there were certain shows that would take place, NAM and Summer NAM, PAS. Went to a few of those.
It's so cool. We were actually supposed to go to NAM this year. We had a very good in with somebody there that was going to get us some press passes so we can interview people.
Oh man.
Yeah, we were looking forward to that.
Like literally we were going to sign up with NAM, and I was like, let me hold off until they cancel it, and then I'll become and then we'll figure out the membership thing. But NAM to me, like I've been to it so many times, thanks to you most of the times. Honestly, like I've had a Peisty badge a bunch of times.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah. And, explain to me in the past few years, not the bash NAM, but how effective is that convention for you guys at Gretsch? Like how much of the business gets done?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. NAM has shifted significantly in my tenure in the industry from 2000 to 21.
Yeah,
it's shifted significantly from real dealer focused, sales driven to more marketing driven, in my opinion. Now, when I first started out going to NAM shows, so many of the dealers went. And in order for you to take advantage of the specials and the sales incentives from the manufacturers, you had to be there within that time frame. And seldom, they probably would extend it if there's certain dealers that couldn't make it for whatever reason, would extend it. But most of the time, all of the sales were written on the floor. And over the course of time, that just changed to where I think some dealers maybe just said, hey, I don't really need to go. And I think it's in the best interest of the manufacturers to still honor the specials if they're going to commit. And there were some dealers that just said, I'm not going to go, but hey, send me the specials and, I'll participate. But then over the course of time, because I think the dealer numbers reduced, it just seemed that there were many more visitors attending, and it just became a lot more end consumer marketing savvy, press release focused. There were so many more individuals and companies that were there,
like musicians that were right? more than dealers. It was like as a drummer going there, I'd be like, oh,
sure. Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, before it wasn't the easiest thing to get a badge, and that's probably harder now, but,
Right.
or at least it was, 2020. But there's just so much more marketing focus. I'd have tons of booth tours on what's taking place, what's new. And I would meet with many representatives of press nationally and internationally. A lot of artists would come down if they could. So it's just kind of funny how it's shifted that way.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, according to at least the numbers of NAMM, year over year, it's always increased in terms of attendance.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's still, I think, a key ingredient to our industry. It's also good to just revisit the friendships that you only see during that time, year after year.
Camaraderie.
Yeah, I think it's really important.
Yeah.
I enjoy going. I do. I just, we geek out. We talk shop. It's fun.
Great. It's amazing. It's a staple, and we talk about staples, and not the company staples, just being a staple in the industry. Gretsch, Peisty, and then those those companies separate joining a trade show that's a staple in the industry is the NAMM show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something that's really awesome. This year it didn't happen. So,
well, Believe in Music, they have a digital version, which is going to be exciting. That kicks off tomorrow.
Oh, how does that work?
You'll have to forgive me. I don't know the intricate details of how it does work because we're not exhibiting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that's working through the end consumer base. There is exhibitors. Number of manufacturers are going to be there, and they'll do a show digitally.
Gotcha.
So they may set up a booth and show what's new and what it is.
It's like a live stream.
Yeah. For example, our distribution partner, Hal Leonard, they represent the full range family of Gretsch drums, which are all of our more popular priced import models: Renown, Catalina Maple, Catalina Club. Mm-hmm. And they'll be there. So I did a pre-recorded presentation for them, and then they're going to actually have it on their booth.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you guys are pivoting with the times right now, because that's all you do, right?
Yeah. And I think there's times where it made sense for us to be there. I mean, this year we also are we're being thrifty, and it was the right choice to do.
Sure, absolutely. You got to stay relevant, and no matter what's going on, we talk about this all the time as well. And I say we talk about this all the time because it's important that just because this is happening right now doesn't mean you can't still get ahead or stay ready. Right?
Right.
Get ready. If you stay ready, be ready. When it does come back, you'll be ready more than anybody else. So
very true.
As an artist, as a business trying to move forward, you got to keep out there. You got to keep showing face, and I think that's really awesome that you guys you're staying ahead of that.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying, and we're working closely with a number of artists to just focus on helping them marketing wise. And one of our artists, Victor Drizzo, great guy, fantastic player, plays with Alanis Morissette, a serious musician, just wonderful human being. So we wanted to promote a few of our snare drums. So I asked him if I can send him a number of drums for him to just test and review. Mm-hmm. And feel free, be creative, Victor, do whatever you want to do, however you want to film it, go for it. Yep. And he did, and it was really cool. He didn't talk, I think he maybe said 2 or 3 words.
But he was doing it.
And it was just, how he did it, and how he, put in a little animation. It was fun as hell.
That's awesome.
And, just we have to be creative, and at the same time, it has to be entertaining, especially in the world of digital.
Yeah, you got to hold your own.
Anything longer than a few minutes, people are done.
Yeah. On, if you're niching down on a niche, but like just drummers in general, or look, I'm one of those guys. Everybody is at some point to some extent that, you can only take so much. But I mean, when it comes to like nerding out on drums, like I'm watching a long video. I'm fine.
Oh yeah. Well, drummers do that kind of thing. We can easily geek out.
Question though, Taylor Hawkins from Foo Fighters, is he one of your?
Yes, he's really our top rock artist. Great guy, really, really good guy.
No,
he and I.
Summer of Alanis Morissette, right? Like,
Oh, he originally was. Yes,
Originally
correct.
was,
Yeah. He was originally, and he, obviously now with the Foos, of course. But yeah, I was watching a video when they played David Letterman. It's like, man, it's like even back then he was just, swinging for the fences. Good Lord.
Yeah, he's hard.
Man, he's what a rock drummer. Oh, and a good dude, really good guy. We had a good conversation over the holidays. I seldom talk to him, but when I do, it's nice.
Nice.
But I mean, their new record just came out, and I think they're releasing it in segments.
Yep.
Sure.
Hey,
Yep.
Not trying to jump around here, Mike.
Yeah, jump. It's all right.
Does anybody ever tell you look like Joe Walsh from the Eagles? Or
No, but people have said Pete Carroll. I mean,
I don't know about Pete Carroll.
I don't know. Joe Walsh? No, that's a first. All right.
A mustache or something, but
That's hilarious.
I just had to look up a picture and I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's a first. Anybody ever say you look like Dave Lombardo?
No.
He does.
Right?
He does.
I have no hair.
If Dave had a beard, he would fucking totally look like him.
Hey, that's good. You're a drummer. He's master drummer. Come on, man. Godfather double
I've seen
bass.
him in the
Forget
Wells
about it.
Fargo, North Hollywood a few times.
Does not play Gretsch, but he is amazing.
No, great dude. Yeah.
No, when Andrew was working for Peisty, I saw.
Yeah, he plays Peisty.
Yeah, he plays Peisty. I saw Lombardo in the bank.
Yeah.
And I was making a deposit, and I was like, "Hey, someone's got a Peisty check." He goes, "That's Dave Lombardo." I go, "Holy shit, it is!" I didn't even realize who it was.
Yeah, great guy, man. Such a good dude. Oh,
Yeah, he seems like
He's
a really
great on the Bungle record, man. Whew.
yeah. Rhythm player.
What happened to Peisty Rude Cymbals? Because I have.
I think they're still going, as far as I know.
Really?
Yeah, I think they were introduced in, I think, 1980, and for a minute they disappeared. It was like they moved over to 2002 Rude, and then they finally said, "Okay, let's just keep it as is."
Okay.
I mean, as far as I know, I think they're still going. Those are just,
Because they're pretty.
Staple. Staple.
Yeah.
You just
Tommy Lee.
want to piss off your bandmates, just go for it. Nothing wrong with that.
The heavy cymbal. The heavy.
Slam, so good. So and the green and gritty and just
Great.
total rock and roll. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're working from home more or less now, like and just doing everything what you're doing now on this podcast.
Yeah, primarily stay at home. I've been in the office a dozen times, maybe 13, 14. Only when I need to physically go in there for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
Or if we're going to shoot any video content, on site. But, the world of Zoom and accessibility from that angle, it's been fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's been fine. I can tunnel into the mainstream there and just kind of get what I need. It's been really smooth.
That's great. It's it's interesting to again find out what a highly revered company like Gretsch is doing right now during these times, and it's good to see that it's you guys are still like staying above the radar here.
Still building drums. The production is at pretty much full capacity. Got a great backlog of orders, and we're just doing the best we can. Yeah. And still building great drums.
Yeah, and then when this thing, I hope live shows come back. They have to at some point. I think there's going to be some made up time. There's going to be momentum for a long time. There's going to have to come back double. What's
funny is my wife mentioned that. She said, just wait till things clear up. She said, and it was a great point. She said, there's going to be a massive resurgence for it because people have been starving for it for almost a year.
Yeah.
And, with really one of the key forms of music being live entertainment, I mean, people are just going to be starving to get their meat hooks back on that.
I think December 2019 was the last show I went to.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, the like actual old school show, like the normal shows. Yeah.
Like normal shows.
Yeah.
Like also the drive-in show.
Oh yeah, drive-in show, but
Yeah, but that doesn't count.
I just went to go see 311, but that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Normal show, like when
Just walking through the doors and you kind of packed in with everybody, and if they coughed on you, you wouldn't be so scared.
Now that's a whole other scary.
It's a whole different ball of wax, man. I'll tell you. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Man, I think last show I probably went to was the one I played, which is first week of November. I'm sorry, not November, March, and then
that was it.
It hit the fan. It was like
that was right after that. Yeah, absolutely. What band you play? What's your band called?
Boxcar 7.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a 7-piece soul, blues, classic, and classic R&B. Yeah,
they're nasty.
Awesome. Yeah, we're fun.
Nasty.
We're fun. Yeah, we have a good time.
All the R&B soul classics too. They're just
good. And the musicians are like slamming. I mean, they're no joke.
Nasty.
Yeah, our keyboard player actually, Jerry, he retired and moved to Texas, and we never played another show with him other than March. It was really, really sad. But his son, Nate, actually took the position, and he's a sicko player.
I love when the lineage continues,
Yeah, and but he's a great player. They're all really good, and we're brothers first and foremost. I mean, we have fun. We bust each other's chops. I think one thing you'll get a kick out of this, Mike. The last time the Patriots won the Super Bowl, and I'm a big Pats fan. I'm not afraid to.
It's okay.
Share that.
No, it's not okay, but it's all right.
We don't pay attention to football.
So we were literally like, the week after they won, we had a gig, and we were just getting ready to go and hit it, right? And that was when they beat the Rams, right?
Right.
So like the whole audience hates my guts. And just before I was about to cut off, I'm like, oh, hold on a minute, guys. Shoot, I forgot something. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I grabbed a custom sticker that I made, threw it right on the bass drum head, and it was a Patriots logo. Oh, it was a moment of glory. Anyway, but fun stuff. But again, I did that strictly to bust everybody's balls on the stage.
Obviously, that's what you do.
So fun.
So yeah, I mean, I think basically, I think it's awesome that you're on here and you're telling us what's going on in the industry for a company again like yours, that you're not yours, but the one you're representing, and how there's hope. There's nothing. If you run things right, some companies aren't doing so well. A lot of companies aren't doing so well because maybe they didn't stop production. They gave away too many drums, and they thought they were going to make it up for some way with tours and stuff like custom. I mean, I think
that's a question I have for you, Andrew.
Yeah,
what's that?
How much these days, when you guys are giving out artist endorsements, how much of it do you guys see from the actual touring? Or now we're in such a digital age that it's almost, you need those artists as assets for, say, Instagram or Facebook or something else like that?
Well, let's say prior to the pandemic.
Yes.
Okay. So the digital world and I call them the digital influencers.
Yeah.
They have grown significantly. And there's definitely a market and an influence for that. It's very important to support it when it makes sense. It's funny because Gretsch, we're old school. I mean, 1883 is when it kicked off.
Yep.
Right.
And we don't have a substantial number of artists that are the digital influencing age. Now, on our roster, we have a few, but our primary focus has always been live entertainment and being the go-to drum company in the studio. But, it's important. I mean, you see many great drummers that have younger up-and-coming guys who have really started influencing. I mean, we have like Mike Johnson, who's one of the top educators online, Mike'sLessons.com. But he's not really he's more of an educator than he is just a general influencer. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's definitely importance to it. But we still have always focused on more of the live and the recording exposure than the digital.
So the revenue, any new revenue is not really coming in from any kind of artists on tour and such, like Mike was really going towards.
Yeah, I mean, right now, yeah, it's definitely definitely slowed down by all means. And
Sure.
did that answer your question?
Yeah. No,
Okay,
totally.
okay.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, like, can companies justify nowadays in the digital age, whereas you had Guitar Magazine, you had Drummer's World, the cover of Drummer World was the biggest thing that you could get as an honor as a new drummer. Modern drummer, sorry.
Yeah, no, but no, Drummer World's good too. That's a good one.
But modern drummer, thank you.
Yeah.
But I look at it now and it's like we're not buying physical magazines.
Right.
We get most of our news digitally through this thing.
Yep.
I was always I've wondered I have never asked you this question, what the breakdown kind of was, versus having that person out on the road playing concerts and going, oh, he's playing a Gretsch kit. Like if you watch like Alex, what's his face from that's like
Gonzalez.
Yeah, nasty.
Nasty.
Great player.
Nasty drummer. DW and Dorsey. You look at his kit. I mean, it's basically pattern. I mean, it's more of a marketing piece than anything else for DW because it's patterned after what Neil Peart had. Yeah, and he's a huge Neil Peart fan. I mean, that's
sure.
That's no. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. I think. Well, I tend to think that because live music has really taken such a skyrocket increase in just activity. I mean, bands are making money off of touring. Let's I'm not talking about obviously the current state of affairs.
Right.
Let's imagine this never happened.
Right.
Okay? God, wouldn't that have been nice? But
would that have been nice? Yeah.
The primary revenue builder for bands was touring, flat out. Record sales have actually plummeted, and therefore their level of revenue is through touring and exposure at that angle. So yeah, we definitely are serious about guys who now are out in the road and exposing the brand from that angle. We're also very careful about it because it needs to make sense. And there's a number of drummers out there who are great and who are touring. But the question is, what level of touring and what level of exposure are they actually providing in the brand?
Yeah. And not only that, it's like, take Ray Luzier from Korn. Sure. Great drummer. He's endorsed by Pearl. He's always doing like clinics. So they were playing cities. So like you go and play a city and then, okay, Ray Lizier's going to do a drum clinic at Guitar Center over here and have his Pearl set up and everything's going to say Pearl and, he's as he endorsed that, as a drummer, looking at his cymbal setup, I'm like, oh, I got to try that HHX cymbal, or I got to, what's the Pearl Master Series like now, or the Session Pro, or like whatever. You start looking into it, right. Go and it gets in my subconscious, and it's like, and then he's making money too by doing those clinics. So he's having an extra source of revenue there, and then Pearl's getting more exposure because of him being, just thinking not to play a gig, but to do clinics and have those sessions. Yeah,
one thing that actually is a win-win is when you have an artist who not only has great exposure live and touring, but when they take advantage of their own branding on their social media.
Yep.
So when you get guys who can just do a quick 1-minute clip before they hit the stage playing for 10,000 people, I mean, that right there is like the double whammy.
It's important marketing.
Oh yeah, we do Instagram takeovers where we have one artist just say, Instagram, the Gretsch Instagram page is yours for the day.
Yep.
Have fun with it.
That's a good idea. So that's Mike, we were before you got on the show, we were talking about, okay, so what are they doing to bring people engagement in that? And that's a great idea. So for a day, a drummer from Gretsch gets to take over the page and be the main artist on the page. So.
Yeah, to where it's strictly theirs. They're the administrator. So for example, I would not post anything that day. It would be strictly Aaron Gillespie. He did that one day when he was on the road with Under Oath and
awesome.
Oh yeah, slamming. And then I think we had.
I watched one of his diaries on tour, like what he did on tour and like his drum setup and everything. It was really interesting. It's like, yeah, people think that you're a rock star and you're doing all this shit backstage. It's like I'm on my phone, like building my next like I'm building my business. Like
You're right. Oh yeah.
I'm
Yep.
about there.
Yep.
And yeah, that's fucking great.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everyone just now they have to be creative and they have to be innovative and unique. It's kind of reinventing yourself.
Yeah, you can't just cram music down people's faces. They want to see you like doing different things with that piece of gear. And we always talk about gear reviews and how that's such a great piece of content for an artist, especially an independent artist that's not endorsed, that wants to get endorsed. And how are you going to do that? How would you take steps to working with your favorite company? And it starts with that. Like, you have a little review of your drum setup and the company you're using, and you hashtag it, and you hashtag other drummers that use it too. And that's kind of thread it all together, and you keep that consistency. And then all of a sudden your stuff's starting to be shown out there and in the industry, whether you're endorsed or not. But from a company standpoint versus my standpoint versus our audience standpoint of the independent musician who doesn't know what the fuck to do, it's interesting to know both sides of it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And companies, I think, are being more selective. They have to be.
They have to be.
I've always approached artist relations on, we want to have a limited number of artists that represent the brand. There are ambassadors, and we want our roster to be manageable. If we have too many artists out there, then it comes to a point where I can't provide them with a level of service, and it dilutes, right? Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of them out there. Like, I mean, I remember one time calling up Ampeg for somebody, I can't remember who, but someone needed an amp, and it's like, yeah, we're not taking anyone new. We literally aren't even getting to emails.
Yeah.
They were that freaking busy.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine was endorsed by them, and he wanted to buy a new head, and it was like there wasn't even the service there to do that.
Yeah, I can't allow that myself. I just, No, when I was with Place 2, we had a lot of artists.
But I think that goes with the proliferation, trying to be a mega brand, and your point to being manageable. I think that's more. I think that's a wiser move, because if you have your premier rock artists, like you said before, like Taylor Hawkins doing Coattail Riders and doing Foos, and then you have like what's his face, he played on Megadeth and Steely Dan, Vinny Colaiuta. And you have that for like kind of your session guy. Do you guys have Steve Gadd? No,
he's been a Yamaha guy since the 70s.
Forever, right?
Yeah. But right, I know what you're coming from. It's kind of, you keep it manageable, but also to me, it's a disservice to the artist if it comes to a point where you can't.
You're not getting the attention you need.
Yeah.
Like, let's get new customers. Let's get this. It's like, but focus on the people that you have and grow.
Yeah, and they've earned the right to receive that level of service.
I mean, that's very valuable information too. It's like it's an analogy it's irrelevant to this drum topic, but it's relevant to the topic of being on top of what you do have. So like, if you have Instagram followers and you only have like 200 or 300, focus on those 200 to 300 and make them engage with them. Get that engagement going. So it's one of those things where it's like, I want the next one. I want more. Well, focus on what you have. Be grateful for what you have. Cultivate the relationships for what you have, and that will grow exponentially over time, because those relationships are cultivated the right way. It will lead to more success, long-term success down the road.
Yeah, and I always tell young drummers, be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day. How old are you? Oh, I'm 20. It's like, you got a lot of time. Don't feel like you have to get that endorsement immediately, and don't feel this. And just build your career first.
Yep.
Your
will come with it.
Yeah, and build your craft, improve on your instrument, and then just like you said, Mike, then the rest will fall in line over the course of time.
Yep. Yeah. All right. And you know what? I think that's where we're gonna. If you have something else to say, I'm all ears, and we could keep talking forever. But I mean, these are this is powerful information. Like,
I know we're nerding out big time.
I want to end on a powerful note. So it's good to.
I mean, my thought is like, the reason why did we start playing drums? Why did we start playing guitar?
We love it.
Because it was fun.
Love it, man.
It's fun. Yeah.
It was fun. And it's like you gotta kind of maintain that, and you gotta play the instrument because you love playing them, and what they do, what it does for you. I always say physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Absolutely.
That is the key. And if you try to maintain that, other things and more positive elements of your career are going to fall in line. Just be a good person. Be honest.
Yep. And I think, the discipline that you have to it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. But you're also disciplined enough to be a kid, but at the same time want to learn better. Keep doing that. Keep growing, because there's, nobody's the best drummer out there. Nobody's the best guitar. Everybody you always should be open to learning and growing, no matter who you are. Like, look at Terry Bozzio interviewing Matt Hepburn on the Drum Channel. I mean, he's a perfect example. He's sitting there like flabbergasted by the guy and what he's doing. I just so excited about it, like a little kid. And what transpires over through the interview is like me watching. It's like, oh, this is a really good interview. He look at a guy that's like a world-renowned drummer. He's been around since what, the late 70s or something. And he's interviewing a guy that's new, and he's all inspired by that guy, right?
Mm-hmm. He was a missing person, so early 80s. Yeah, probably late 70s.
Oh, to go before that, man. It's Zappa.
Zappa.
Are you kidding? Oh, man.
That's right.
He was like one of the Zappa guys. He's got, his history goes back to the 70s. I mean, probably, I'm sure he was doing stuff in the 60s.
Why did everybody who was amazing, who played for Zappa usually,
I know,
went on to something that was like mainstream? This is a whole other topic. Went on to mainstream success. So you look at Steve Vai, David Lee Roth, Whitesnake, Vai's solo career.
Yeah.
And then you look at Bozzio, Missing Persons, and the myriad of other people he's played with.
I mean, look at Chester Thompson. Didn't he play for Zappa?
Yeah.
And went on to play for Genesis. I mean, Vinny Colaiuta. His breakout was with Zappa, and the rest is history. I mean, Chad Wackerman played with Zappa after that, and he's one of the most brilliant musicians out there.
And they probably go to more mainstream stuff because they built that credibility through working with progressive guys where they could do anything. So it's like, if I could do this, it got me credibility. Now, kind of like Roger Joseph Manning, like he would get called and he was like this progressive guy, but he got called to do like more mainstream stuff. And he was going to be singled out as a guy that wasn't going to be able to do and work with other people as a session guy.
They put him in a box.
Yeah, they put him in a box.
Had Roger Joseph Manning Jr. from Jellyfish on.
Okay.
And it's a great episode if you guys haven't watched it. But yeah, it was his point. It was like, everyone thought I did my own records because I started Imperial Drag and I started Jellyfish. He goes, no one thought I could. And Jerry Harrison had a band in the studio and said, hey, let's call Roger. And the band was like, no, Roger does his own records. He doesn't do.
And Roger's like, I can work on anything. Just
call me.
Yeah. If I like the music, I'm in.
It just goes to show you, if you have that, you play for the song, but whoever artist you're playing with, it allows you to get that, that experience. And then
it keeps it fresh.
Keeps it fresh. And now you can take that guy. It's like, oh, wow, he's going to be playing. Like he went from, from one thing to the mainstream. Like Kenny Arnoff is a really good example. He played for John Mellencamp, and he's not a Paiste guy. He's a Zildjian guy, right?
Zildjian guy. Yep.
But regardless, I listen to John Mellencamp now, and I hear how awesome the drums are, and I'm like, I didn't realize how awesome those drums are. No,
like the Lonesome Jubilee record, man. Fuck.
Yeah, sick.
And then
brilliant playing.
The most amazing playing ever.
Yeah.
In 4
plays so hard and heavy, and then when I saw him with John Fogerty, like I'm just like Creedence Clearwater. I like them all over again from when I was a kid, and he wasn't in the band. And my dad showed me those records when I was little, and I'm like, this is good. And then when I got older, I saw them live, and I'm like, whoa, this is way better. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely started with John and ended up becoming a studio ace, and still is, one of the.
Played for Smash Pumpkins too. I mean, like he just went.
Yeah, when Chamberlain was out.
Yeah.
So just don't. That take what you got. expand on it, keep playing with other artists, and endorse what you have. And as an artist now, you want to take what you have, what you're playing with, the equipment you're playing with, and you, in a digital age, you got to make sure that you're documenting those, that you playing with those different instruments and endorsing those different companies. Not really endorsing, just like tagging them and as such. So one day you could get endorsed or even sponsored to get maybe a little discount or something. You know, you can. And doing that, I know there's companies out there you could call them and haggle with them a little bit and say, listen, I've been playing your stuff forever. I know I'm not touring or anything, but is there any kind of discount you give? And they'll do that. Sabian did that for me. Sabian gave me a nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, they gave me 20% off.
Nice. Yeah, they're good peeps over there.
Not my favorite cymbal. I would go with Peisty if anything, but they are pricey. But they're worth it. They're fucking cymbals, you know.
Well, every company makes decent.
The high line of cymbals. Yeah.
In terms of the primary companies that are highly recognized for many years. Everyone makes a good instrument. It just comes down to what your preferences is, price point, and who are some of your heroes.
Yeah.
I mean that definitely has a lot to do with it too.
Sure. Yeah. I played Tama because Tama had a really good artist endorsements with the bands that I liked when I was growing up. Before, this is like not classic rock. This is like, Slayer, Korn, White Zombie. All these guys were playing Tama. So I saw that. I got, you go to the store and you get that little the magazine, the Tama magazine. You look through it, you'd be like, all these artists are playing.
2-page spread ads are just super rad. Oh yeah.
Just look at this, and I'd hang it up on my wall and be like, that's why I like it. Now let's just say those guys were playing Gretsch drums. I'd probably want to play Gretsch,
Yep.
It's just the music I was listening to at the time. And you realize every company has their echelon of awesome drums to the better price point. Gretsch has one of the best price points for their drums and like the best bang for your buck when you get out of it. I mean, what the Catalina's priced at right now, if it was just, it's like a one rack.
Like the bop size, which is the most popular, you're looking at $700.
That's great price point.
Yeah, and the drums sound so good, and we have many artists that actually use those for their in-town kits. So they have their primary A rigs, and then when they're in town, just break them out, and they're totally cool. I mean, we've had a few artists who actually have had some of their artists. So for example, some country drummers who may do a kind of like a drum off with their boss on stage. Sometimes they've used Catalina Club. It's just
there it is.
Yeah, it's fun stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they're really nice. Great drums.
I love it. Well, I appreciate your time in taking to be on here and explaining some really good nuggets of information for our audience out there, and just the company, you as Mike's friend. It's a pleasure.
Well, thank you. Well, it's an honor to be a part, and all the success to you guys. And it's always good to connect and geek out with musicians, and that's what we love to do. Why not, right?
Right. Yeah, for real.
We'll be in touch in the future too, of course.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Cool.
Shreeve, amazing to see you.
Dude, good to see you, my friend.
We need to share a
Yeah.
cigar.
Here. Don't get me started. Come on now. We'll make it work.
Andrew saw me play live in this like fisherman's bar down there from his house last year.
That was fun as hell.
I saw this picture of that.
That was fun as hell, man.
Yeah, that was a good time. What was the name of that place?
Oh.
What's the name of that? It's the biggest hole in the wall.
It's a super legendary divey San Pedro place.
Henry's?
No. I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank. But
this place was a straight up, like, the guys would come off the docks in Long Beach and drink at this place.
They were getting after it. God, I can't remember its name, but there's there's a number of them down there. All right, lads. Well, listen, stay healthy, and let's all kind of wish for a positive 2021 moving forward.
Oh yeah,
we all deserve that, don't you think?
I agree.
Agreed, 100%, sir.
All right, fellas.
Take care.
All right, brother.
Yeah, man.
Be
Thanks.
good.
Appreciate
Have
it.
a great rest of your day.
All right. Until then. Bye-bye.
Gotcha. So that's Andrew Shreeve from Gretsch Drums, and Mike's one of all Mike's old time friends. great to have him on the show. Definitely a wealth of information, and it's good to hear just a company like Gretsch's journey right now, from where they've come from and what they're doing now through this pandemic, and how they're staying relevant in the marketplace. And then just his experiences, just picking his brain. I mean, we could have just went into like 3 more hours of conversation, but obviously we can only do so much.
It was. And by the way, I want to thank Andrew for being so awesome. I told him 30, 45 minutes. He spent a whole hour with us today on the.
He had a good time.
Oh no, he's a great guy. He will sit there, and he is one of the most giving, kind human beings you'll ever meet, because you meet so many dudes who are like, brand reps or artist reps for instrument companies, and they're so hounded by people asking them for stuff or asking them for favors or whatever.
Yeah.
And Andrew, I think, knows how to balance the two worlds, where to say no nicely,
right,
not get offended when you ask for something.
Not
maybe
only
encourage somebody to be a future,
that's it. And I think you also have the guys that you're the brand managers for these companies, and they are kind of bitter because they're not the ones in the artist.
Oh, there
have those too.
There's myriads of that stuff, I'm sure.
Myriads of. Hey, as always, man, it's a pleasure doing this Sunday segment with you and you guys out there. This will come out by tomorrow.
Tonight. Tonight. You'll be listening to this in the PM. Actually, probably by 3:00 Pacific time, this will be up. So
we have this week Friday. What are we putting up this week?
We have the mighty bearded Tim Howley.
From Autopsy.
Fit for an Autopsy. Very fun interview. Very one you need to watch.
Absolutely.
Or listen to, or smoke signal for us to send it to you.
A lot of nuggets of information.
And everyone knows Tim is this smoking guitar player in the band Fit for an Autopsy.
Dude, they're nasty.
Oh,
they're so good. They're underrated good.
Yeah, they're underrated good, in my opinion. But Tim works, I believe, with all the band's media and social media and stuff. He also does that as a day job when they're not touring. And he has his own Twitch channel, and he's big into branding, and he has leather companies, and he's really the true form of like the musicpreneur. Guy plays music, like a bunch of other companies that support him as a living too, and is just is an amazing example of what you should be doing.
Yeah, I mean, at his level, you guys may be intimidated by it, but he gives you a lot of knowledge of what you can do now with what you do have. And I think that's what he focuses on mostly. He hardly talks about his successes and bragging or anything like that. He's talking about like how to get out there and how to engage your audience, and like, yeah, he's put in the time. His band has done great things. They're still underrated, I think, in the industry, but they are huge.
I think moving forward, well, in Europe they're not, but here in the United States, I don't think they have as big of a presence. But like, I mean, next fall they're going to tour with Heaven Shall Burn, which is a huge band in Europe, and opening for Trivium and Heaven Shall Burn.
Nasty. I wish him all the success, but at the same point, he doesn't just focus on the playing. He focuses on being 3-dimensional and putting his passions forth on his social media, and the way he does it and what he's building is really impressive. So you guys will find out more about that, and you can apply it to what you're doing, whatever you're passionate about, and being unique and segmenting yourself and sticking out in your marketplace, because everybody is different. We all are the same in the set fact that we're musicians, and we're doing our best to get ourselves out there, but each person is unique in their own way, and he'll put that in such a way where you'll probably get better ideas on how to implement that yourself. Miguel, always pleasure
to see you, sir, and we will see you guys this Friday.
You got it.
Bye.